So next up we have Sonam. So Sonam will be presenting on, So Sonam is up next. Sonam will be presenting on agile ways of managing business and risks. Sonam is a fellow of the Institute of Actuaries in the UK, an FIA, as well as an FIAI from the Institute of Actuaries of India. She's with EY and has lots and lots of experience in consulting and industry, working with insurers and clients across the UK, Middle East, and Singapore. Sonam is also part of the GI committee of the Singapore Actuarial Society. So Sonam, over to you.
Thanks, Mehul. Thanks for the introduction. Let me share my screen. Is my screen up?
Not yet. Okay, yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Mehul, for giving me this opportunity to speak on the topic of Agile. So I'll just do a very quick introduction. So as Mehul mentioned, I'm Sonam. I am a qualified actuary with around 13 years of experience. Have worked in industry and consulting on different kind of projects. So in my actuarial journey, there are different projects that I have worked on. I worked on reserving, I worked on capital modeling, Solvency II, and many more. So in over these 13 years, as my actuarial career progressed, I have seen the insurance industry as well as the actuarial profession evolve every day. So when I started my career, I mean, it was a very small team of 2 to 3 members that I was working with. And most of my interactions were purely technical and all with actuaries. But now when I really move forward, the kind of projects that I have working on, the kind of team size and the non-actuarial interactions that I have had, they have all increased significantly. And we as actuaries sometimes are very much used to work, in our traditional roles and in silos. And that is when I came to know about the SAS conference, and I was really thinking, okay, what topic should I present? I thought, let me pick up a topic which a lot of us might have heard of, but we are really not aware of what it is. And how can we actually use it in our actuarial day-to-day work? So that's why I thought, okay, let me just have a session on Agile, and it will be very useful to see how we can use it in our actuarial processes and workflows. I mean, a lot of IT industries, a lot of large-scale IT transformation projects have used Agile, and they have been very successful. So why not we? Why not the insurance industries, and why not actuaries? So that is something we can definitely do. So what I'm going to do in this session is I'm going to talk about some of the Agile principles. I'm going to talk about some of the Agile values. And again, it's a very broad topic, so difficult to cover everything in 30 minutes. But yeah, but once I complete the session, a lot of you might think that why is there so much buzz about, what is Agile? It's so straightforward, we could actually understand what it is in just 20-30 minutes. So yes, I definitely agree. It's very easy because it's just a set of values and principles, but it's very difficult to master. It's basically a culture and a mindset change, and that will evolve and will take time. So moving on, there is a quick video I would like to play, which shows what Agile is. Let me know if you can see the video and it's audible as well.
So now I'm just jumping in. we can't hear the audio very well. I don't know if you can turn
Oh,
it
is
up a
it?
little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
No worries, no worries. I'll directly move to the presentation then. No worries. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm sorry that the video did not work, but I am sure that the session will give a good overview of Agile. So let me first try to clear some of the myths that we have about Agile. So the first and foremost, Agile is a methodology applicable to only IT industry. I think this is the biggest myth that most of us have, where we think that Agile can only be used in IT industry. That's an absolute myth. A lot of industries, including food and beverage industry, educational institutes, healthcare, even government institutions, and of course financial institutions as well, they have used Agile methodology. So this is a complete myth that Agile is a methodology that is only applicable to IT industry. So different industries have used it, and of course actuaries is not an exception. Secondly, we also think, a lot of us think about it, that Agile is basically a methodology. It is a process framework. It will tell us how to solve a problem. Again, that is not what Agile is all about. I mean, we are competent enough. We are very good at our jobs. We have, we have qualified 50, we have passed 15 exams. We are qualified actuaries. So of course, Agile cannot teach us how to deal with the technical stuff. So if it is not a process framework, if it is not a problem solver for us, if it is not a way of solving problem, then what is Agile? So Agile is basically, a set of principles, values, and mindset, and a new culture that different organizations are using for the successful delivery of their projects. So it is basically a cultural change rather than a methodology or a process change. So it's basically a culture of flexibility. It's a culture of adaptability, a culture where we all work together in collaboration with one another to achieve the project goals. So we as actuaries, of course, cannot work as in silos for the firm's objectives. So when I think about Agile for actuaries, so what I notice is that we are definitely moving in that direction. We are breaking the barriers, and we are working and we are interacting with different departments. And a lot of us might have also seen the benefits of doing that. There is so much data that is accessible when we actually break those barriers and start working with different teams. There is a lot of inputs and insights that the underwriting team can share that I can use in my actuarial analysis. There are a lot of insights that we as actuaries can share, with the underwriters or with the marketing team. So definitely we are moving there. I won't say that we as actuaries are not moving that Agile way, but we are doing it probably in, our specific work streams. And what is really important is to move agility to a firm-wide agility rather than just to the work stream. So what I'm trying to say is that it's not that we should only focus on Agile principles in our actuarial work stream, in my reserving work or in my pricing work, but the organizations as a whole should move to a firm-wide agility. So Agile is not something that you buy. As I just mentioned, it is not a methodology. It is not a tool. It is not something that you buy, but it is something that you are. It is a change in the culture. It is a change in the mindset that we need to instill. So what actually Agile means? So before I jump to Agile methodologies, I want to touch upon a waterfall approach. So waterfall approach is a traditional approach to project management that was used in IT companies years ago. Of course, most of the IT companies have now moved to an Agile way of working, but this approach is still followed in non-IT industries, and maybe some of us are already using this waterfall approach. So here in this image, what I'm trying to show is there is a user. I'll see if I can get the pointer here. Yeah. So there is a user here, pretty confused at the start of the project what he actually needs. Let us say if this is an actuarial project, okay, and this is the user, looks to be very confused. He's not really clear on what he wants. He discusses with the actuary or the actuarial team on what his requirements are. The actuary team understands the requirements, gathers it in a document, and starts working on the project. The actuary has a clear idea on the requirements. They work on the design and deployment of a product, model, whatever it is. There is a testing, and then there is a final delivery. Now, if you see this user who was really confused at the start of the project, he's really agitated in the end when the final outcome was delivered. So who is to blame? Is it the user? He wasn't very clear on what he wanted, or is it the actuarial team that was not able to live up to the expectations of the user? So I don't think neither of them should be put to blame. It is the approach that we followed in order to deliver the product that is put to blame. So in the current environment, which is so unstable, the requirements are changing continuously, the industry is evolving. So what you thought that you needed at the start of the project might not be what you actually wanted. So we, as an actuarial team, this project, they actually might have done what actually the customer ordered, but maybe that is not what customer wanted. Because over this time frame, let us say if it was a 6 months project, over this time frame the market changed, the competitors have implemented something new. So maybe the customer is not happy with what he got at the end. The customer or the user is not happy with what he or she got. And that is primarily because the market and the industry, the requirements are changing, and this waterfall approach will never work. This was the approach that a lot of IT companies also followed in the past. And since some of their large projects failed, that is why they moved to an agile methodology. And and actuaries, again, not an exception. And I think a lot of you might be able to relate to it now, given IFRS 17. So personally speaking, when I worked on different IFRS 17 projects, like, my clients were confused on what they wanted. I was confused. And when actually we work on the implementation, there are a lot of requirements changing. There are a lot of new things that we come to know. And of course, we need to look back and revise any kind of models that we have built, or any kind of changes we have made based on old regulations, so that we can cater to all these changes. So this kind of I would say a sequential process approach will not work in the current scenario, which is changing day in and day out. It would work in an environment which is very stable. So let us say if the process let's say if I'm doing a reserving project and I'm really clear that I'm going to get data on this date, this is what I'm going to do. 2 days I'll do data cleansing, then there will be data will go in the software. This is how I'm going to select my assumptions, and this is the final report that will come out. The format is pretty much standard. The kind of risks are similar. Of course, this approach will work. But the current environment that we are in, it is evolving, it is changing every day. So this kind of a waterfall approach will never work. That is why a lot of companies are moving to agile way of working. So if I really talk about agile, so as I just mentioned, agile is not a method, it is not a tool, it's not a technical concept, it is a mindset, it is a culture that needs to change. And there are 4 main values that agile has. So first is around the teams and processes. Agile always focuses on team members, interactions, collaborations, teamwork. It believes in the principle that together the team will stand and together they will fall. So if the project fails, it is not due to one person or the other person. It is basically a team's effort. So agile does not focuses on a sequential process or tools that need to be followed. It believes in a concept of collaboration, of team empowerment, of self-organization, where all the team members come together to achieve a common goal. Secondly, openness to change. I'm going to touch upon this briefly in the subsequent slides, but Agile says that you should have an incremental delivery to your project. That means you should look into the project status and the delivery incrementally rather than, throughout at the end of the project duration. So the benefit that Agile, that this incremental framework brings to the projects is it's very easy to respond to change. So given these long-term projects that we are working on, things like IFRS 17, even product development, there are so many changes that need to be made in the product cycle or the project cycle. And the reaction to the market or the response to the user should be very quick. So Agile focuses on openness to change, which means that it's easier to respond to change rather than just following a plan that we'll do A, B, C, D, and then yes, E is the delivery. That is not how it works. It basically breaks the work into smaller streams. And that is why, since you're looking into the project status and delivery in interim parts, you can definitely adapt easily to the change. And then last but not the least, the 2 other principles are customer centricity and customer focus. So Agile says that customers should be treated as a part of your extended team and not only to negotiate a contract. Meaning if I am supporting my user in basically building a model or a product, it's not that I discuss with my user at the contract negotiation that, okay, these are the 3 things that you want me to do. These are the 3 things that you will do in-house, and that's it. What Agile says is that you should interact with your customer throughout the project duration. The customer should be a part of your extended team. That means your customer or your user should be aware of what you are doing, what the status is, what has worked well, what has not worked well. So in that case, even the customer or the user can give you feedback. So let us say it's a 6 months long project, and I am regularly catching up with the customer on a regular basis. So after 2 weeks, when I discuss with the customer, or maybe after a month when I discuss with the customer, this is what the team has done, and this is the deliverable at the end of a month. The customer might say that this does not align with my expectations, or maybe my competitors are doing something else. Can you just revisit it or revise it? Since we actually discussed with the customer after 1 month rather than 6 months, it's easier for us to adapt to that change and provide to the customer the value that actually he was expecting. So that is where the customer focus comes from. The customer might order a product, might order something, but actually he is also not sure what he needs because the market is changing so continuously. So Agile says provide the customer what they would value rather than what they ordered. They might have ordered for something, but what you are actually delivering to the customer should be in line with the expectations, taking into account all the changes that have happened throughout the project duration. So these are the key principles of Agile that we need to instill in our actuarial process and in all the projects that we work on. So two main things that Agile focuses on. So it's iterative and incremental development framework. So what does that mean? It simply means that don't work on a project at a length. Okay, it's not a break a very large project into smaller iterations, as they call it, smaller sprints, and then decide what you need to do in all the smaller iterations. Look at what has been achieved in an iteration, discuss with the customer, get the feedback, and adapt to those changes. If you are re-looking at the work that has been done in smaller iterations, it is very easy to inspect the progress and adapt to any kind of surprises or variances that you see. So Agile says that always follow an iterative and incremental development process rather than a long iteration. So this definitely would encourage continuous adaptability and continuous change. Moreover, it also says a change in mindset. It is a change in the culture, it is a change in the mindset. And of course, it is not something that will come overnight, because we have been working in this way, and we have been working over the last few years in the traditional approach of project management. So this is a mindset and a culture change which will take time, which we definitely need to instill in our teams so that we can move to an agile way of working. So if it is, what does this mindset actually mean? So this mindset is a mindset of collaboration. This is a mindset of interaction, flexibility, and adaptability. So this is something which we really need to build as a part of Agile. And if we follow an iterative and incremental development, and if we have an Agile mindset, it will be very easy, and I would say it will be very useful for us to understand what kind of environment we are in, both internal and external. So if I am working on a project, I should be well aware of the internal environment that I'm working on and also the external environment. And if I'm using agile principles, I will be easily able to adapt to the internal environment, whatever uncertainties are there in the internal environment. Maybe someone in the team resigned, or maybe a tool is not working, there is some technology issue. So I will be able to adapt to all these uncertainties that we are facing internally, but at the same time we will be able to adapt to all the external changes as well by following an iterative and incremental development framework. So these are the two key pillars, or two I would say principles of agile. So if I just summarize what we have discussed in a traditional approach and in an agile approach. So that image that I showed where there was a confused user and then an agitated user at the end. So that always happens when you follow a traditional approach. If you follow a traditional approach, it typically is analyzing the requirements, designing the model, building the model, testing, and this is the outcome, and you give this outcome to the customer or the user. But this is not, but this is a traditional way of working. Agile says that don't work on these longer iterations. So if we see here, this is a very long iteration. You just have the discussion with the customer at the start of the project, and then you primarily just work on design, build, test, and the final outcome is delivered. What Agile says is just break these longer iterations into smaller iterations. Work on one iteration, decide what you will do in this iteration, see the feedback at the end of the iteration, measure what you have done, what you haven't done, what worked well, what did not work well, discuss with the customer whether we are going the right way, whether it aligns with your expectations. Once you are comfortable, move to the second iteration, which is the second sprint. So Agile mentions that divide or split your total work into different kind of sprints, and in every sprint you should learn, you should build, and you should measure. What it means, learn as in what you need to do in this sprint, plan for what you are going to do in this sprint. Build would mean then just go and work on what you have decided will be the key outcomes of the sprint. And then of course, measure the sprint at the end. What would be the sprint cycles? How many sprints you want to have? Again, that is something that depends on the project, but definitely the longer iterations should be built into smaller projects so you can inspect the progress on a regular basis. Now here, after the end of sprint one, there will be an outcome. So definitely all the stakeholders can look at the outcomes, the customer can look at the outcome, and we can be confident that we are actually going on the right path before we move to the second sprint. So it is an iterative and incremental development. You work on one sprint, do whatever tasks you decided to do in the first sprint, you have an outcome, then okay, once you're comfortable, then you move to second sprint, third sprint, so on and so forth. So that is the concept of Agile. Don't work on longer iterations, rather split it into smaller iterations. So these are some of the key components of Agile, which many of us might be using already, but yeah, there are many that we can actually use in our day-to-day work. Smaller iterations, as I just mentioned, no longer iterations, it should be smaller iterations. Continuous improvement, flexible, iterative. So since we will split our entire project into smaller iterations, there will be scope for the individuals to look at the progress on a regular basis. It will be easy to adapt to any kind of changes if needed. There will be incremental delivery. It's not a final report that will be delivered at the end of 6 months. No, there will be an incremental delivery after every 2 weeks or after every 1 month, depending on the sprint cycle, so that we are aligned with the customer's expectations. It's easy to respond to change, of course, because we have smaller iterations. After every iteration, we can look at how the market has changed, whether there are any internal changes, and make necessary changes. It's a self-organizing team. So as I mentioned, Agile believes in the concept of collaboration and empowerment. It does not believe in dictatorship sort of environment where you have a boss, he's going to tell you that, all right, can you do this? You work on the model, prepare a report, send it to them, he reviews it, and then gives you the feedback. It is basically a team collaborative effort. It is empowerment of the team, which also helps to improve the I would say the motivation and the confidence level of the team members. And then of course there is less delivery risk. If you're following a waterfall approach, as we just saw in that image, the final product might not be what the customer wanted. But if you're actually aligning with the customer on a regular basis, it's very easy to respond to the change. I won't say that in Agile there are no risks. There are risks, but actually those risks get flagged early on. So you will have time to adapt to those risks early on in the delivery rather than waiting till the end. Then of course, aligned expectations and daily stand-ups. So one of the key concepts of Agile, which I'm going to touch upon in a while, is daily stand-ups. And then there are aligned expectations. Since it's a more collaborative effort, it always the expectations for all the parties would be aligned. So it will never be the case that actuaries are thinking on some different lines and the accountants are thinking on a different lines, the tech is thinking on a different line. If we move the Agile way, we all will move together. We all know what actuaries are doing. We all know what the tech teams are doing. So the expectations would be aligned. So these are the key features or key principles or values, whatever you may call it, of Agile. So Agile is just, I would say, an overarching framework or values. And there are different methods that are used to follow Agile. And a lot of you might have heard or even used about this from Scrum framework. And there are others as well, Kanban and others, that the big IT companies are using uh, to move to the Agile way of working. So I can briefly touch upon the Scrum framework. So yeah, so Scrum, as you can see to the left, I have this image for rugby, because Scrum actually comes from rugby. The word comes from rugby, and it's basically, working together collaboratively to achieve a common goal. So what a Scrum framework basically prescribes is there are different ceremonies that are needed in Scrum. There is one ceremony which is called sprint, which I think is really good, and we can actually use it for our actuarial work. So in basically sprint, the first thing is sprint planning. Then there is daily Scrum, sprint review, and then Scrum retrospective. So as I was showing in the previous slide, so your entire project delivery will be divided into smaller iterations, which are called sprints. So you can have 1, 2, 3, you can have any number of sprints ranging from 1 week, 2 weeks, or 4 weeks, depending on your project duration. So we start with the sprint. So at the start of the sprint, there is a sprint planning meeting. So again, the sprint planning meeting will be attended by all the team members. It is not that the actuarial head or the finance head are going to attend the meeting, decide on what needs to be done, and then cascade it to the team. It is basically attended by all the team members. All the team members get together and they decide, all right, what needs to be done. And out of the total project, the project scope that we have, what all are we going to do in the first sprint? So, okay, who is going to work on what all will be achieved in the first sprint? So all those discussions happen in sprint planning, which is a meeting that starts at the beginning of the sprint. So it ensures that all the parties, all the team members are aligned, and it's typically ranges from, I think, 3 to 4 hours, even all the way to 8 hours, depending on the project. So once the sprint planning is done, then team members know what the expectation is, what is expected from them. Everyone will go get to work. And that is what the first sprint is all about. Now, the first sprint is going to end after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, depending on whatever we have decided. So let us say it's a one month sprint. So what will happen now? We decided on the tasks at the start of the sprint. The team members worked on it during the sprint period. At the end of it, there will be a sprint review after 1 month. But between the sprint planning and the sprint review, there is also something called daily Scrum, which is a quick 15-minute stand-up where all the team members can discuss what they have done, what they are doing, any issues, any burning issues that needs to be flagged. A very quick stand-up just to ensure that there is nothing going wrong. So then there is a sprint review meeting at the end of the sprint. There, all the team members, we look at what all outcomes we have achieved from the last 1 month. What are the key deliverables? We can discuss with the client or the customer as well, whether it is in line with the expectations and if they want to make any changes. So we can actually look at what has been done and what has not been done. Maybe when we decided on the sprint planning meeting, we thought that we'll do 1, 2, and 3. But maybe at the end of 1 month, we were only able to do 1 and 2, and 3 is partially done. So we will decide on the sprint for the next sprint. Maybe we can prioritize, the third item which wasn't done. So that is a sprint review meeting where we look at the status of the work that has been done over the last 1 month. And then in the end, we have a Scrum retrospective meeting. So this is not about what has been delivered, what has not been delivered. It's about discussing with the team what went well and what were the issues that were faced. So what all things worked well? What were the issues? Were there issues in terms of people? Were there issues in terms of maybe processes? Were there any issues in terms of technology? So just trying to get an understanding of what worked well and what did not work well, so that could then be carried forward in your next sprint meeting, which would be the second sprint. So this is a typical sprint framework that is followed in Scrum. And if I just show in this slide, so this is how a Scrum framework looks like. There you start with a product backlog. So basically what happens is there is a product owner. So the product owner is basically going to decide on what the key requirements of the projects are, what is the requirement, what is needed in the project. So for this, of course, he would need to discuss with the different executives, different stakeholders and customers, and then create a product log. So a product backlog would typically be, like a Bible for this entire project, which you will always refer to whenever you are stuck in any issues. So what is the effort needed? What is the team size needed? So everything will be discussed and put in a product log, which would now imply you really know what needs to be achieved and how much time it's going to take approximately. Once that is done, then we move on to the sprint framework. So again, there will be different kind of sprints. There will be a sprint backlog. So sprint backlog is basically what the discussions that you have in your sprint meeting, the sprint planning meeting, that this is what we're going to do in the first sprint. And unlike the projects that we work on, in these kind of meetings, all the team members have a say, all the team members have a consensus, and all the team members must agree before we actually start working on the work stream or the sprint work. So once the sprint starts, it's going to be a 30-day sprint in this particular image, but it can be anyways ranging from one week to approximately 4 weeks. So yes, 30 days, the team members will work on and on. But over these 30 days, there will be a regular Scrum meeting, just a quick one, 15 minutes, just to ensure there are no issues, where we are just going to discuss what has been done, what is not done, and what we're going to do the next day. And then, of course, at the end of the sprint, there is going to be a work product. There is going to be an incremental delivery, which will be shared with the customer. And we all are going to discuss that what has been done, what has not been done, and what kind of improvements should we make before we move to the next sprint for the next cycle. So this is typically how a Scrum framework works. And of course, it's a very high level view. Scrum is very, very broad, and we cannot cover the entire Scrum framework in the session. But yeah, the more important for us as actuaries, I think, is to understand the agile principles and values and adopt to agile values as a new way of working. So enough of agile. What it means for actuaries. Let's just think about it, what it means for actuaries, and do we think that we can actually use it in our actuarial day-to-day work, or maybe in larger projects or for an organization. So if you really think about the general, if I just focus on general insurance, if you just think about it, the general insurance industry has seen so many changes over the last few years. In fact, I would say last few months also. And so therefore, many insurers are now moving to adapting this agile way of working to adapt to this evolving industry. Moreover, the shift to agile has become more important with COVID-19 and with the remote ways of working. So just to call out few of the changes that we have seen in the last few months, uncertainty events like COVID. We could have never imagined that COVID would be a global pandemic, not only affecting the insurance industry, but economy as a whole. It has affected not only the local markets, but we are also impacted, by the impact on the global markets. So again, COVID is one of the uncertain events, and maybe many more to follow. You have IFRS 17 and RBC2, the reg changes, the regulatory changes. So again, these are just a couple of them, but there may be many more ahead. Then you have digitalization, unpredictable risk profile. What you thought of as a primary risk might become secondary. Even if I look at the stress test work that we have been doing for our insurers, the kind of risks that we were looking at last year, they're pretty much different from what we look at this year, because the market has completely changed with COVID. So the risk profile is very unpredictable. Then you have stakeholder communication, collaboration, integration. All these things have become so important with the changes that we are seeing in the market. Competition, it was always there, but it has increased even furthermore. The customer behavior is changing every day, and we really need to be ahead in the game. There are people risks. Definitely with COVID-19, people working remotely, there are risks of losing key people. There is a risk that you need to keep people motivated. So yes, there are multiple changes that our insurance industry has seen in the last few years. And of course, we need to adapt to these changes. We need to be prepared for these changes and many more changes that will definitely come. So in order to adapt and be prepared for all these changes, it is not something that we as actuaries can do all alone. it's not possible. We need to work with other work streams. We all need to collaborate. That communication, that diversity is very, very important. The way market is changing, we should be prepared for those changes. We should respond to the market in a very quick way rather than waiting for the market to change and then react. So it should be a proactive approach rather than a reactive approach. Yes, the risks are changing, the risks and their importance are changing every other day, but we as actuaries, we really need to have a forward-looking approach. For example, even for COVID, I mean, we couldn't have waited till maybe, July or August when we moved to phase 2 to understand how COVID would impact our business. We had to we started looking into the COVID impact after we moved into circuit breaker, because we knew that, there is a change coming and we definitely need to be prepared for it. So you need to have a forward looking analysis. You need to have more transparency and regular inspection and adaptation so that you are ready for the changes that might come through. So given the changes that the industry is seeing, I really think it's important to go that agile way, which focuses on the pillars of collaboration and collaboration, teamwork, and the other stuff. So yes, these changes. So how can agile help us? So I won't say that you can use agile for IFRS 17 or maybe use agile for capital modeling. So there is no particular there is no particular project where you can use agile, but you can actually use it across different kind of projects. And as I mentioned, you might be using it already probably in your reserving project. If you have a 2 or 3 month long project, maybe you have a regular stand-ups and maybe you regularly catch up with the team on the progress, but we need to broaden it. We need to move it to a firm-wise agility rather than focusing on agile only in our specific work streams. So I don't think you can use it only in IFRS 17 or only in financial reporting. So there are multiple things. I've just listed few here, but there are many more projects where actually you can use IFRS 17. And how can it help us? So just to call out the few benefits that I feel that we can have if we use agile. First of all, the traditional models that we have only work in a stable environment. And the slide that we just looked at previously, the market, the environment that we are in is not at all stable. I mean, every month the market is changing. There are pandemics, the market, your interest rates have moved down. So there are so many changes happening externally as well as internally in the organization. So the your traditional models will fail big time if you basically use them in this ever evolving environment. So definitely it's important to be more agile so that you can adapt, so that you can work on more robust environment. Secondly, it's also very important to respond to and adapt to the changes. So not only we need to adapt to the changes in the external environment, but also there are customer requirements which keep on changing when we are working with them. So that easy adaptability, flexibility, and also the time to respond should be very quick. Otherwise, the competition is so intense, we know that we'll just fall behind. So these are some of the advantages. Moreover, it's a faster decision making and consensus, because if you're working as a collaborative team, you have a daily stand up, you are discussing after 2 to 4 weeks how your product is going, what is the customer feedback. Obviously, it is easier to take a decision and reach a consensus. Better customer satisfaction, obviously. I mean, if you think about that image that I initially started with, so customer will definitely be more happy, more satisfied if you are giving them the product that would actually add value. And that is what Agile says. Don't just do what customer asked you to do, rather align with them on a regular basis so that you actually you add value to the product that you are delivering to the customer. So, and moreover, I think the companies who have been using Agile, it has been easier for them to adopt to these remote ways of working. I know a lot of companies did struggle, but the companies who were already using Agile methodologies, Agile principles for their projects, it was easier for them to move to this new remote way of working. And I really think this new way of working will continue for long. So moving to an Agile way would definitely help, not only from the project standpoint, I think, but also from the people standpoint. At this point of time, it is very important to ensure that your team members are empowered, they are engaged. And by having these agile kind of principles in your day-to-day work, it will not only improve the customer satisfaction, but also the employee engagement. And since it's a very structured project management, it will also help in maximizing accountability, minimize handovers, proper staffing, and refuse confusion around ownership, and minimize long lead times. In a traditional approach that you follow, of course, it's the process is very long, and if any change needs to be made which you had originally not thought of, the entire plan has to be revisited. So of course the lead times are very, very long, and the methods that we are following are not very effective. So if we are going an agile way, it will definitely help us to reduce these lead times, reduce confusion around who needs to do what, which I think a lot of us might face in our day-to-day work. Whose responsibility? This work stream is the ownership of who is actually owning this work stream. So effective project management can come if we are following agile principles. And then, of course, it's easy to adapt to the regulatory changes and any other changes. So there are so many changes happening around us. If I just think about it, it's regulatory changes. COVID is, of course, always there. Then there are customer expectations are changing. A product that you thought would be a big bet for you in 2019, maybe in 2020, it becomes obsolete. So things are changing so fast. If we are following an agile way, it will be easy for us to adapt to these changes. So yeah, I think it is beneficial, definitely. So what should we do next? So should we just go and tell the team that, all right, let's go the agile way? You all might have heard about what agile is, and let's get started. No, not really, because again, we all are human beings, we all are resistant to change. And to be very honest, when I was introduced to this concept, I have a lot of friends who are working in large software companies, and when they told me that they're using Scrum, I really thought this is something which is only for IT companies. And if we just go and tell the team that, okay, let's introduce Scrum, or let's go the agile way, they might think we're just enforcing an IT stuff on them. So let's not just do it. It will not happen overnight. We need to instill this culture and these principles in the team. How can we do that? So maybe we can just different values that we have for agile. Maybe let's start with those. Maybe we can start with a shorter term goals rather than a long term goals. If we are already working on the projects which are relatively long term, so maybe let's try to divide it into smaller deliverables, incremental deliverables. Maybe let's start with the regular stand-up meetings. So, I mean, that might be new for a few of the team members, but would definitely benefit in the long run. So maybe let's start holding some regular stand-up meetings. Let's try to define the shorter term goals for the long-term projects that we have. Let's try to divide, the deliverables, the long deliverables over a longer duration to smaller deliverables, incremental deliverables, and relook at the delivery at a regular interval rather than waiting till the end. Moreover, it's important to measure and improve the value rather than outcomes, which is one of the key principles. It is not about what you are giving to me as a customer. It is important what value it is adding. You give me a capital model, very fancy, very robust, but is it actually helping me? Is it serving the purpose that actually I was looking for? It is again very, very important. So don't focus on outcomes are important, but also it should add some value. So let's try to instill that culture. Let's try to instill those values in our team. And if you really want to start the agile way, maybe pick up a very small project and just see how it works. Maybe maybe a small project of, let's say, 2 to 3 months. Just use an agile way, and then get feedbacks from the team members, get feedback from the customers, and see if the customer satisfaction score has improved, whether the employees are happy going an agile way. And once the team members actually understand the importance, of course, you can extend it to the broader team and the other projects and move it to a more firm-wide agility that is needed. So yeah, so it is not something that you can start immediately, but it's the right time to I would say instill those cultures and the values of agile in our actuarial functions, because we have already seen a lot of industries have already benefited from agile way of working. So why not insurance, and why not we as actuaries? And given the kind of changes that we have seen, IFRS 17 is a classic example. It's a transformation project. You cannot work as actuaries alone. You need to interact, you need to understand the priorities. Everyone needs to understand their priorities, the expectations. Otherwise, IFRS 17 delivery would also fail big time. The standard evolved over time. Moreover, there are a lot of requirements which we understand as we move in the project. So it is important to have that incremental delivery sort of a framework rather than just working in a waterfall approach where the actuaries are doing their own stream of work, the finance is on a different tangent, the data team is on a different tangent, and ultimately what we get is a big failure. So yes, so agile is very, very important. We should definitely move towards this. And there are a lot of benefits that you can gain from moving an agile. We have just listed few, but the list is long. The list is long. There is more transparency and autonomy. Definitely, you know what your priorities are. This is my priority. This is the priority. These are the tasks that this individual is going to do. The accountants are going to do this. Actuaries are going to do this. So there is more transparency, and of course, there will be less conflicts and less blame games, I would say, in the team. It's retrospective. There are reduced people dependencies. It's retrospective because it doesn't say that deliver the project in the end. You are basically moving in iteration. So after every iteration, you basically look back and see what worked well, what did not work well. So it's a retrospective way of working where you're basically learning by experience rather than just doing what the process is. Definitely, there is continuous feedback and continuous improvements, which enables you not to be shocked by some nasty surprises that you see. So since you're continuously looking at the work, you're looking at the the progress of the project and things like that, there is a scope of continuous improvement. So then it is very easy for us not to be surprised by any kind of nasty surprises that comes through. So the key priorities are clearly understood. Definitely the engagement uplift because Agile doesn't believe in a dictatorship sort of a work structure, not a hierarchy. You have a person, you have your boss, he gives you the task, you work on it. It believes in employees empowerment. So you work as a part of the team and you all hold, hands together towards a common goal rather than just putting blame on one person or the other. And of course, it's lower project risks and higher customer satisfaction. In a waterfall approach, what happens is, since you're not interacting on a regular basis, there is a risk that either the projects fail or the project is delivered late, or maybe the customer is not satisfied. But if you're moving an agile way, there will be risks, but you will have enough time to tackle those risks before the final project delivery. Customer satisfaction will definitely be there because you are ensuring that the customer is aligned with you throughout the project duration. And all these will also lead to less wastage, both in terms of, I would say, money and of course in terms of time as well. So there are a lot of benefits that we can gain going an agile way. But as I mentioned, just remember, don't be too strict and just start using Scrum in your work. The team members won't be very they would be receptive. So it's a change in mindset. It is a change in the values and principles, which we need to basically instill in our team. And of course, we need to ensure that we all are aligned. So if we as actuaries are aligned, but the finance team doesn't believe in Scrum, and maybe the data team is going the Scrum way, but we are not aligned. So of course, the projects are going to fail. So it's very important before you actually go an agile way or you start using Scrum or any other framework. There are a number of other frameworks as well. It's important that everyone is aligned, everyone understands the importance. And if you see that reluctance, maybe start with a smaller project and see how it goes. Share the experience of, share the benefits that you have gained from going an agile way or from using Scrum for that smaller project. And maybe when the other teams actually see what kind of benefits we have, the others have gained in working in an agile way. So maybe they're more aligned and we can actually work together towards an agile way. So yeah, so that was the last slide I had. And again, it's a very broad topic. And as I mentioned at the start of the presentation, you might feel that this seems to be so simple. And to be honest, when I was even going through what agile is, I also felt that, isn't this so simple? Isn't this something I'm already doing in my day-to-day work? But when I actually read about it and when I actually think of implementing it, it is not easy. It is not easy. It is very difficult to master. So I would suggest and recommend everyone to go the agile way. And then maybe for the larger projects, let's try to, use frameworks like Scrum in our implementation. And there are a lot of agile coaches. There are a lot of Scrum masters available. So we can definitely use them to train the team and go the agile way. So yeah, so that is the end of my presentation. I would recommend everyone to collaborate, work together, and yeah, have fun in whatever you do. So thank you all, and please stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you, Sonam. Thanks for that. Really interesting talk on Agile and the concepts and going into the how of it as well. I think it's particularly pertinent when we are, as actuaries, being involved with various varied types of projects. And so it's really interesting. In the interest of time, I'm going to cover, there's a question from the audience, which I'll cover. If I can ask you to briefly respond, just because we want to keep up with the time and the schedule. The question is, in consulting and fixed cost projects, how would you budget and cost for a project with an agile type of framework when the outcome and client's direction can change over time?
Okay. Yeah. So again, I think I would answer this question this way. So you really need not go a very, I would say, sophisticated framework like Scrum if you want to use Agile in your project. So as I mentioned, Agile is just a set of principles and values. So even I work in consulting. So if I really have a fixed budget project, so I need not have a very sophisticated platform to use Agile because I know there are cost constraints as well. But we can definitely do that, in-house within our team members. So a daily stand-up for 15 minutes, of course, that is something that can easily be done, right? And then, of course, we can discuss with the client at the outset that this is the delivery that you need maybe after 6 months. How would you like us to divide the incremental delivery across different months or maybe weeks? So those are the things that we can actually do if there is a budget constraints and we really cannot, go to a more